some doors never open. And we created the Jinn from a smokeless fire, Surah Baqarah, Ayah 15. There are places in this world where one should stop before stepping in, not just to keep a distance, but to protect one's soul. Elias understood this too late. In a remote mountainous region of Portugal, there was a small village, Cova dos Esquecidos, which means the cave of the forgotten people. On the edge of this village was an ancient forest, known to the locals as Floresta dos Gritos, the Forest of Screams. It was said that at night, the trees in the forest would breathe, and their breaths were filled with the screams of souls that never returned. But Elias, a famous wildlife photographer, dismissed these tales as local folklore. "I am here to take pictures, not to be scared," he said, laughing at Sophie, an archaeologist who studied historical sites. But there was no laughter in Sophie's eyes. "Elias, I've read something about this forest. It's not just animals that get lost here. People do too." Elias teased her. "That's why I'm here. I need something thrilling for my channel, something people won't forget." Upon arriving in the village, they met a mysterious old man Mark. His eyes were calm, but seemed submerged in the depths of thousands of secrets. "You too are going into that forest?" Mark asked. "Yes, tomorrow morning. We'll be back in 2 days." Marek sighed deeply. "Some doors, if they're closed, should stay closed. You know, Floresta dos Gritos is not just a name. It's a grave of ancient evil spirits." Elias laughed it off, but Marek leaned forward and asked, "Are you a Muslim, Elias?" Elias was taken aback. "Yes. How did you know?" "The faces of the corpses I've seen were marked with the kalima in blood." There was a moment of silence in the room. Marek placed an old black talisman in Elias's hand. "Keep this with you. If you hear voices at night, don't respond. Just keep reciting Surah al-Jinn." The next day, in the morning light, the forest looked beautiful. Sunbeams filtered through the leaves, casting patterns on the ground. Elias picked up his camera and began snapping pictures. Sophie, with a notebook in hand, started reading the ancient symbols carved into the trees. But as time passed, the atmosphere began to change. The winds grew still. The birds, which had been chirping in the morning, suddenly disappeared. A faint echo seemed to reverberate between the trees, as if somewhere far away a quiet scream could be heard. Elias lowered his camera. "Did you hear that?" Sophie slowly shook her head. "That scream, it feels like someone is asking for help." They both moved towards the sound, and not far ahead, they saw a message written in blood on a tree. "Don't listen. They lie." Elias's heart skipped a beat. Did someone write this recently? The blood is still fresh. Sophie's face turned pale. "This is the same message I saw in old man Marek's book. This forest writes, Elias." As night fell, they set up camp. The campfire flickered, creating shadows that seemed to stretch unnaturally, as if made to scream. The shadows of the night grew longer, and the light of the fire shivered. Elias's heart raced and his grip on the camera tightened. Sophie was still asleep, or perhaps just pretending. Elias looked at the picture he had just taken. On the camera screen, a creature was clearly visible, human in shape, but with a black, deep hole in place of its mouth, as if made only to scream. Suddenly, Sophie opened her eyes. Did you hear that? Her voice was soft but trembling. Elias nodded slowly. Someone called my name. You were asleep. No, I was awake, but that voice wasn't mine. Sophie pulled out an old piece of paper. On it was the same symbol that was written in blood on the tree. Don't listen. They lie. This symbol is similar to ancient Hebrew, but it's not just a script. It's a sign of a closed door, a spiritual door. Elias grabbed the talisman tighter. Did we open a door? Sophie looked around, fear in her eyes. Maybe. And those behind that door are now out. Morning. The camp was in disarray. Some pictures were missing, pages of the notebook were torn, and Elias's camera lay on the ground. This didn't happen last night, Sophie said. Elias looked around. This place feels different from yesterday. The shadows of the trees, they seemed changed. They tried to head back, but the path that had been straight yesterday was now a verdant prison. The trees were closing in, as if alive. We're lost, Elias said. No. Bio? Sophie's voice now carried conviction instead of fear. This forest won't let us go. Afternoon. In the middle of the forest, they came upon a decrepit shack. On its door was a red marking with a message written in it. Enter only if you remember the prayer. Elias pushed the door open. Inside there was a small room with an old Quran placed at the center, stained with blood. Beside it was a burnt diary with a name written on it. Khalid ibn Yusuf. This was a Muslim. Elias said quietly. They opened the diary. Inside it read, I've been trapped here for 7 days. They've stolen my voice. When I recite the Quran, they retreat, but at night they come. They make me forget everything. If I do not survive, whoever reads this, recite Surah Baqarah completely. Do not stop. Otherwise you will become like them. Sophie grabbed Elias's hand. This is our warning. Nightfall. In the forest, they set up camp once again. Elias opened the Quran and began reciting Surah Baqarah softly, but with certainty. Then suddenly the temperature dropped. The branches of the trees bent in one direction as if something very large was moving among them. Sophie picked up the camera and flashed it in the dark. In the camera light, something appeared. A human face, but where the eyes should be, there were deep, hollow holes, and the lips were sealed. The creature tried to scream, but no sound came. Elias continued the recitation loudly. Allah la ilaha illa huwa, al hayyul qayyum. The creature began to retreat. The branches of the trees started breaking. The silence of the forest shattered. Then Elias saw Sophie's eyes closing, as if she were losing consciousness. Sophie. Elias shook her, but as soon as he touched her, she opened her eyes. But it wasn't Sophie. Her eyes were dark. The face was the same, but the voice was someone else's. Surah Baqarah wasn't completed, Elias. Now you are one of us. The night had deepened. Every tree in the forest bore witness to the truth that nothing human remained here. Elias stood frozen, and Sophie, she was no longer Sophie. You left it unfinished, Elias. Now you too are half of us. Her lips were still Sophie's, but the voice was harsh, grave, as if many voices were speaking at once. Elias stepped back, clutching the talisman tightly. You're not Sophie. No, she slowly turned her head. And you won't be Elias for much longer. Then she screamed, a scream that was neither human nor animal. Elias's head began to spin. The ground seemed to shift beneath him. Darkness enveloped his vision, and he collapsed. Hours later, Elias opened his eyes to find himself in the shack. The same old shack with the Quran and the diary. The light was dim, and the air smelled foul, like burnt flesh. A shadow sat before him. Old man Marek. You're alive, but you've lost so much, Marek said. Elias rubbed his eyes. Sophie, she's alive, but not in control. Is she a Jinn? Marek shook his head. No, she's not a Jinn. She's something else. They are Shayateen al-Ins, lost souls that were once human. Elias's heart sank. So what do I do? Marek handed him an old black book. This is the Kitab al-Hakika. It contains the prayer that can close the door forever. But you must stand in the forest beneath the tree of voices and read it completely, without stopping, without fear. Elias took the book. And if I stop, then you will become like them. The next night, Elias ventured out once again, this time alone, but with a heart full of resolve. With every step he recited prayers, knowing that only Allah could save him. The forest knew him now. The trees began to sway and voices echoed from every direction. Sophie's voice reached him. Elias, let go. You're tired. Come to me. But Elias opened the book and began reciting. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-hammi wal-huzn. O Allah, I seek refuge in you from worry and grief. The trees stopped their swaying. The voices fell silent. The ground beneath him grew still. The door closed. And then silence reigned once more.